All right, well, hello and welcome to the San Jose State Weekly Football Press Conference. San Jose State, coming off of their first of two byes, will play at Hawaii to start conference play this Saturday, the 18th, a 6:30 Hawaii time kickoff, 9:30 p.m. Pacific time kickoff, and our coverage will begin on our flagship station at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 8:60 a.m. KTRB. The game will also be televised on FS1. Before we get to Coach Brennan up here, a reminder, some news today. The Saturday, September 25th matchup against Western Michigan now has a time and television station. ESPN Plus will broadcast that game 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern time for the game at Western Michigan. All right, so let's bring in San Jose State head coach Brent Brennan.
Hello. Good to see everybody once again in our current Zoom empty room format with my man Justin and a video camera. Obviously, this is a huge week for us, coming off of the bye, and we've had a great week of practice, and I'm excited about the work we put in and where our team's at, and kind of fixing some of the stuff that we thought wasn't exactly the way we wanted to be in our game versus USC 2 weeks ago, and then getting ready and prepared for this next haul, which is going to be an interesting couple weeks for us with our travel to Hawaii, and then coming back and getting ready for a game where we travel back to Michigan. So we're excited for this game. I'm sure Hawaii is too, and it's going to be a heck of a football game.
All right, we're going to open up to questions now. I'm going to start with Steve Kroner. Go ahead.
Hey, Brent, good afternoon. Just talking about kind of the logistics of all of that. Specifically with Hawaii, I guess they're not having fans in the stands at the moment. Does that impact anything for your players? And then planning to go 3,000 miles, I guess, one way, and then 2,500 the next. How does that affect your preparation for each game?
Well, to answer your first question, playing in the stadium without fans, it's kind of what we've been doing for the last year or so. Yeah. We played a lot more games in empty stadiums than we have in full ones. So, I think that'll be interesting. Obviously, that being there on campus, I'm excited to see how it looks. I GA'd there 100 years ago, and that was our old practice field. And you'd have all the, people, the grandmas running around the track in the morning when we were practicing, and so it looks really cool on the internet. I'm excited to see what it looks like in person, with what they've been able to do in a short time to get that facility up to speed to host a Division I football game. So that's a really cool part of it, I think. And then in terms of like the Western Michigan game and this, like, we're not even thinking about the Western Michigan game. That doesn't even enter our thought process at all. We're all in thought process of what we can do right now to prepare for Hawaii. We know Coach Graham is an excellent football coach. We know they have really good players. It's a very veteran group with a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. So we are focused on this game, and we'll worry about the next one next week.
Okay, we're going over to Steven Tsai. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering, what's it like going into a game as the defending champions of the league? I mean, that's a little bit different in terms of the history of the program, and how great is that, or what are the expectations of that?
I don't, the expectations for that, I think, are from kind of the outside world. We don't talk about that. That's not even where our head's at all. We are, we are kind of just locked into giving our team the best chance to play good football on Saturday night in Hawaii. So we're not even, what happened last year was special, but that was last year. And like I've said many times, no one cares what you did yesterday. So it's all about, what we're getting ready to do right now in preparation for Saturday.
Okay, Vic Aquino, go ahead.
Hey, Brent.
Hey, Vic.
Every game, even for you, are like high scoring affairs, like 50, 60, 80 points. And doesn't matter who's on the roster, how well the team's doing or not. But what's your thoughts or guesses on why that just happens every year? And I mean, the expectations this year, 60 plus. So just any thoughts you might have on that?
No, I mean, this has always been an incredible football game. Every year that I've been a part of it, it's always a 4-quarter game. I think, historically, if you're going back far, you're kind of talking about two programs that have, been good offensive football teams in the past. And so maybe that speaks to why those numbers are like that. But I just know that, watching these guys on tape, they are 4-quarter, play their butts off all freaking game, that you have to be ready for. And so, however the score ends up, it'll take care of itself. But we got to be ready for, again, another great battle, epic battle with the University of Hawaii, and going there for the third year in a row, which is a real treat. I'm grateful for the opportunity to get to go back there for the third time in 3 seasons.
Derek, Al, we're going to go over to you.
Hey, Coach. Derek Al from the Spear and KSJS. I know the impact that your cousin Colt had on the University of Hawaii, but what impact did he have on your life, and what are some of your favorite memories that you have of him?
That is a big question, Derek. Colt Brennan was the kind of person that impacted everybody he met. Like, he just had a magic to him, a charisma to him that, he had the ability to really make people feel good and to engage people in a meaningful way where, even since his passing, I'm still getting phone calls of people sharing a story with me like, hey, I met your cousin Colt, in this situation or that. There was just such an outpouring of that, when he passed away. And for me, the thing with Colt that was so fun that was special, I think, for us, is that we always had the football thing. When I was playing, multiple times, I snuck him into the locker room at UCLA after a game. He was so cute and he just loved being in there. And then, that kind of followed with my brother's career, and Colt being able to watch that as he was becoming a junior high and high school football player. And then when I got into the coaching thing, even when he was playing in high school, he would come up and spend a couple of days with me in San Luis Obispo and watch practice and sit in the meetings. And, so that was always special. He and I sharing the football thing. Like I've stated before, when he was at Hawaii, he beat me every time. But it was always special to give him a hug at the end of the game, and just to see, kind of what he had become as a player and a person, and just how the Islands had just really embraced him, and what he had, what he meant to them, and what they meant to him. So, this game will be an emotional deal for me, just because that's still pretty fresh for all of us, and everybody is still really missing him. And so, I think he's the kind of guy that's not going to be soon forgotten.
Jackson, going over to you.
Coach, just what is the 15 on the helmet and no one wearing 15 and the outpouring from the Islands and the university meant to you and your family during this time?
Well, I think it's been really special. And I think it speaks to how the University of Hawaii and the state of Hawaii embraced Colt, and how they felt about him, and how, and what he gave them in terms of this, magical run of winning football and packed stadium, Aloha Stadium. I mean, you look at those videos that they've been kind of on repeat for the last, few months, and just to see Aloha Stadium just full, and just people going wild, and just what that was for both Colt and the University of Hawaii and the state of Hawaii. So it's been really special. I think it's a really incredible way that they've honored him. And I think it's a cool thing, because the outpouring of love and how much they've honored him and respected him is also, you could say the flip side of that is that's how he felt about Hawaii. That's how he felt about the state, the university. He loved his experience. He loved that place, and he loved the people there. So I think it's been a really nice thing for the family, but I think everybody wishes Colt was still around.
Vitas, we're going over to you.
Coach, got a couple of questions. First of all, your team through 2 games has yet to allow a sack. How much is that a credit to Jack Snyder and the rest of the guys in the O-line? And how much is it about Nick Starkel making quick decisions and getting rid of the ball instead of holding it?
I think it's both. It's always a combination of the two. It's also a combination of our ability to run the ball. But anytime you have, quarterback making good decisions and getting rid of the ball accurately, that's a big part of it. And then also, those guys up front, they've been together a long time. They're good players. They're good kids. They care so much about San Jose State football and the team. They're all about the team. And I love how they compete. I love how they work together. And, I think those two things go hand in hand, our ability to protect and our ability to deliver the football timely.
And you have 5 receivers averaging over 20 yards a catch, which means you would think Nick Starkel would be holding onto the ball, waiting for deeper routes. But what the aggressiveness and the big playability of the offense, what do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that, that is part of kind of who we've been and, who we want to be. Obviously, Nick gives us a good chance for that, but you also have to have, we have a bunch of young receivers or new receivers that are really getting, their first taste of what real action is like. And so, anytime we can give them a good ball to play down the field and they can finish it, that's a great step in the direction of kind of being this aggressive playmaking offense. And, you just mentioned the O-line, and, that's part of that too. Like, they have to protect. We have to have a good balance of running the football. And I think Coach McGivern does a really good job of scheming that. And, that's kind of the challenge going into this week, because we're playing Coach Graham, who's an awesome defensive coach. And, they give you a lot of looks and they're really creative with what they do defensively, and you have to be able to handle all that. So, we'll see if that trend continues.
Okay, Steven Tsai, we're going to go back to you.
It also seems this game is significant because you're playing for the Dick Tomey Trophy, and it seems like that's another guy who's really had sort of a big impact on your program over there and Hawaii and everything. I was kind of wondering what that's been like, and what did you do with the trophy you won last year?
So, yeah, I mean, I miss Coach Tomey every day. I really do. And I certainly miss him after games, just being able to call him and talk to him about what's going on with the team or what's happening, schematically, or this game or that game, or the decisions I made. His history with the University of Hawaii is well documented. Just a tremendous coach there for a really long time. And then his impact here was incredible too, right? He kind of came into San Jose State at a time where the program was really kind of on, unsolid footing, and he found a way to stabilize it. And so, the trophy, right now is sitting, here in our building. And it's cool. I walk by it every day. It makes me smile. Makes me think he's looking at me, telling me like I need to be more diligent about coaching this or coaching that, or you had too many offside penalties in the last game or whatever. But I can hear his voice as I walk past the trophy every day. But just a tremendous human being. Everything that's good about college football and coaching, that was Dick Tomey.
All right, Jackson Moore, go ahead.
Coach, Graham was one of those put in a situation where he had to install his schemes without much of an off season. What do you see that's a little bit different about their program going into this season?
Well, I think they're definitely more mature. You see like they're playing a lot cleaner. The consistent level of effort going through all the way through the game. I think they play extremely hard. Even in the UCLA game where that was kind of a lopsided game, they kept fighting and kept playing. And, that was really impressive. I think that, they're taking on, his personality a little bit. And, also the ability to get all that executed at a high level is really impressive to me. And Coach Graham has always been that. Coached against him several times, either here or when we were in the Pac-12. And he has always found a way to get pressure on the quarterback, to confuse the quarterback, and to really be sound against the run. So we have an incredible challenge this weekend, and we know that.
And one more for me, just logistically, having the bye week before this trip, is it any more of a benefit than if you were playing someone that was closer to home?
I don't know that really plays into our thought process. I think I wish we could have played last weekend. Just kind of got back to being in a game, than having to sit and watch everyone play on Saturday. So that part of it, I don't know. The early bye weekend is not an awesome thing. The one way it did benefit us is we were able to get on the road and go recruiting as a staff, and so we were able to go see some players and visit some schools and kind of continue to attack that part of our job. But in terms of how it impacts the game, if it's a positive or negative, I don't know if you can say it really correlates.
Okay, Steve Kroner, we're going to go back to you.
Yeah, Brent, excuse me, if you were going to pick like one or two things you think you have to do schematically to come out on top Saturday night, what would those one or two most important things be?
One or two things. I think we need to do a good job containing Cordero. He's a fantastic player. They have a lot of playmakers on offense, but I think it all starts with him. He's got great ability to escape. He throws the ball well on the run. He's an accurate thrower. So I think it starts with him. Also Calvin Turner has been a brilliant player for them the last 2 seasons. They give you a lot of challenges, offensively, with what they run. So, for us, it's like, I look at it that we have to play clean football. We have to, minimize the penalties that hurt us really badly in the SC game. We have to do a better job of not turning the ball over. And then, then we got to handle the scheme on both sides of the ball, which both sides of the ball is very good for them. So we have to get in the right mindset to handle those things.
Vic Aquino, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned a clean game, and obviously penalties is probably something that you want to clean up. But can you give some insight on how that's cleaned up? Like if it's more about personal technique or just schematically or being out of position, or what's any insight on how that might get corrected?
I think for me, if they are football plays, right, competing, playing hard, playing for the guy next to you, if we get called for a hold or, an effort thing, like that, I can live with those, Vic. The penalties that we're working on eliminating are the pre-snap penalties, whether that's a procedure or an offsides by a defender, or anything extra after the play, so like we had one of those in the game against USC and it was impactful in the game. It was a great learning moment for that young man, but it was a good learning moment for our whole team in terms of how one, bad decision after the whistle can lead to, really disrupting or hurting the football team. So those are the things we're talking about as a team, and we have been since, for the last 10 days or 9 days.
Vitas, go ahead.
Coach, your alma mater recently pulled off an upset. I'm not talking about UCLA versus LSU, but rather St. Francis against De La Salle. First win by a team north of Fresno in 30 years. I'm wondering if you were at that game. Was that what you were recruiting?
I was not at that game.
Any thoughts just about your alma mater beating De La Salle? I'm sure Juno Fehoko is very happy that he holds bragging rights over Shamar Garrett and the other De La Salle guys on the team.
I don't really know how far I can go talking about this thing just with recruiting rules and whatnot. But it is fun to hear the guys on our team. Right? We've got players from St. Francis, we've got players from De La Salle, like we got players from all over the Bay Area. So anytime anyone is playing each other, it's a fun thing around here because guys are giving each other a hard time leading up to the game. And then whatever the outcome is, then you have the backlash on Saturday or Sunday. So it's a lot of fun. And that's a cool thing about college football is that everybody in the room played against somebody in the room or has a connection to somebody in the room because of the game of football in high school and junior college. So that's been a lot of fun around here.
Okay, Jackson Moore, go ahead.
Coach, speaking of recruiting, how much has last year's successes helped you on the recruiting trail and with communication with recruits?
Jackson, I'm not sure we know yet. I think we'll know, after this recruiting class and then in a couple of years to see how the recruiting classes develop and pan out. I think there's obviously we need to recruit good players and we have to recruit the right kind of kids that fit our program and what we're trying to build here. But the more evaluation we get, the more time we get to see players practice or play live or get to know them on a personal level gives us a better chance to recruit the right people or the right fits for us. So, I think that is a TBD in terms of, what that impact of last season was in the recruiting process for us. All right. Thank you all.
All right, thanks everybody for attending today. Once again, Spartans on the road against Hawaii to open up conference play this Saturday, the 18th, 6:30 Hawaii time, kickoff 9:30 Pacific time. Pre-game coverage on our flagship station, 860 AM KTRB, will begin at 9 o'clock Pacific time. Thanks for attending, and we'll catch you next week.